Alright, I'm back. Yeah, here's our draft deck from just seconds ago we drafted. I had to have a conversation, an emergency call through. Wanted to go over our mana. I'm just going to trust the mana for now, and we're going to go into some of the gameplay and just watch me get murdered. Or maybe we get lucky and we play against enough matchups that pair well for us. We're going to hope for about 5 wins. That's where I always go for because then it gives us our money back and then we get some random cards. And I'm really into it just for the draft because drafting to me is my favorite part of Magic. So here we go. Hmm. Delicious water. All right, our first opponent. Playing against Fig Jam. Let's go. Okay, I like this hand already. We have our white, red, and green mana. Palladium Mirror, great card for us to have. Teleportation Circles, alright. And we can kind of ramp ourselves into being able to kill one of their creatures if we need to. So we'll keep. I'll start on playing Breeding Pool. The reason why I'm starting here and not the Sanctum is that, well, I just don't want to shock myself later for a green source. And here we'll just play the Blood Crypt under the same guys there, because we can still play this untapped. We don't have any other Tango lands to play, so this will be great as a third land. And then we can drop down our Palladium Mirror. So our opponent played Temple of Deceit. We should have looked at their whether they kept or not, but it looked like they kept it. Yeah. So we can go either Palladium Mirror or we can play Eska, and I actually like playing Palladium Mirror here because we can actually, in a couple turns, as long as we draw, no, in a couple turns, we'll be able to play the flip side of Eska, and that'll be a great threat. Here we can play Palladium Mirror and just drop that into play. Which we can then help to cast our or get our Karuga next turn. Depending on what they do this turn, they're probably going to play a good threat here, which we'll be able to answer most likely, because anything on 3 in these colors, I think we can soundly answer with our intervention. They could play a mana rock here, but no, they're just going to kill our rock, which is fine. They're not putting things into play, and they're doing it on their turn. That's even better for us. Okay, we could either get Karuga or we can play Teleportation Circle here. I like playing Teleportation Circle because their mana is down. And just in case they do have an answer to enchantment, I'd rather them kill this. And then play Prismatic Bridge. Most likely, I was surprised they played anything there. But now we can play the bridge. Okay, yep, see, feed the swarm. And now we can play our Prismatic Bridge. Although we should probably answer the Pyromancer. Which we could. We could just play this tapped, kill the Pyromancer. Next turn play the Huntmaster with our other land. That actually might be better. Yeah, I actually like that. We don't need this online right now. And Pyromancer can get out of control. We definitely don't want any more tokens in play. We can handle 1 damage a turn, especially since we netted 3 life. It's always good to review your options before you commit to something. Jamming this bridge would be fine, but we have a lot of mana dorks we could hit, and that's kind of not what we need. We need threats, and Tolvar's Huntmaster is a pretty powerful threat, specifically now that they've played Sarkhan. We need a creature that's better than their dragon. That's good. Yeah, see, we would have gotten an Elder there. That is definitely not what we want. And now we can pressure their Planeswalker. Okay. Alright. Since we can pressure their Planeswalker, I'm just going to attack into their Planeswalker. Their dragon is quite huge. I could just tap out and play Prismatic Bridge here. And I think I should. They are playing red, and red has a couple ways to clear the board. And if I played Faerie Elder and Kingpin, that'd probably not be good for me. So I'm just going to play the bridge. If they have a counterspell, so be it. Yeah, spell swindle all of the ones that they could have. Yeah, I could call this pretty insane from our opponent. Granted, they didn't have Young Pyromancer in play, so they missed out on 2 tokens. And all the while, they can really only cast the Shivan Dragon, but it looks like they're going to put it in their hand and cast 2 of them this turn. Which is lights out for us. They might as well cast it. I don't see why you wouldn't here. Like, yeah, if I have the Wrath, I have the Wrath, but I'm not getting through your Shivan Dragons, and then Shivan Dragon basically is a 2-turn clock. Yeah. Okay. This can kill our Krinko. We're kind of on Elsinore or bust. Gonna also kill our Manadork. Even Elsinore is not gonna be enough for us to come back from this. I don't think so. We're just gonna play our 2 cards. They might even just conjure another dragon and put that in play. We really can't do anything at this point. It's unfortunate that they spell swindled our Prismatic Bridge. But it's unfortunate they drew so well. Like, removal, 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 removal. They had an answer for everything when they needed it. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have much in the way of any more plays this game. They kill our Kingpin. This is good because it gives us 3 life, but it's still not going to be enough for us to win the game here. I don't have an instant in my deck that can really shut down this. However, we can play this and draw some cards, but that's still not going to be enough. So I'm just giving them up the game, the GG, and concede here. Really have a way to pressure my opponent's life total enough to kill them. Yeah, and this is kind of where I feel like our deck is about a 4 on average. It's a 5 because of Keruga. I definitely could play that game a little different, but I don't really know if... But that would mean that I would have had to have had perfect hindsight vision, so definitely didn't have that there. So we'll go into the next game. That would be a game where we got punished where we didn't have the top deck of Primal Command. Primal Command could have definitely pulled us out of that over the Keruga being our commander. Not commander, companion. It's unfortunate the way the game worked out in our opponent's favor. I almost went with the 2 plays there. I think the Prismatic card was susceptible to a counter. I wasn't expecting the spell swindle. That's what really did us in, was their ability to put 2 5/5 dragons into play versus our 2/2 wolves. Yeah, unfortunate. All right, playing against DDR Juggler. All right, this is a pretty good hand. We have decent mana fixing, so we can cast the God Tree, and hopefully we can do something with that. All right, we'll keep. Another popular card for a lot of people. This is like almost a first pick for most people, is Lutri. This good draw there in our Captain Sisay. Help us tutor for the cards we need. This is the problem with our deck. Can't deal with things like Saboteur. I'm going to keep this land simply because we're going to discard a land to this. So they can attack us and then play a 1-1. Make us discard. I'll throw away a mountain. Now I get to play Eska here, which can block the Beetle, but we're still going to be taking 2 from the Saboteur because it's Death Touch, and I don't really want to lose my Eska. No, their deck is perfectly built to beat ours. I'm going to discard the Pale Storm. Just not a card that we can really effectively use right now. Alright, this is pretty good. As long as they don't have another removal spell, we can play the Torrens of the Torrens First of the Angels, and hopefully get to a point where we can cast Captain Sisay. Or we just play Captain Sisay and cross our fingers, hope that it doesn't die. Yeah, we're going to just play Torrens here, and then play our land here, and we're going to put it on. It comes to play with red, and we've already lost our Eska. So we'll name green. Green's a good common color in our deck, since we have double white already. And they're kind of in a position where they need to kill this, which they can now with the Yawgmoth, which is horrifying for me. Maybe like that. I don't understand this. Like, I swear we always get paired against these people who have like the perfect decks, and our decks are very bad at this point. Now, oof. Without hitting mana rocks, okay. The Howl Pack Master is good, but Thrawn's gonna be a problem, especially now that they can just play cards over turn. I'm just gonna play my land. Yeah, I'm gonna play Sisay. We're kind of locked out of this game. There's really no way for us to win at this point. It's kind of depressing, actually, because there's not a lot I can do here. You know what? This game's over. I can't do anything. We didn't draw removal for the Yawgmoth or the Saboteur. That's what we really needed there, and Teleportation Circle is just a card we'd throw away. I guess we can keep playing it out, but I don't know. I want to concede because we're literally screwed at this point. Yep. I don't want to discard, so we're just going to block. Make them commit. Okay, yeah, they got us. I can't believe their deck. Our last 2 opponents have had like perfect decks. Grixis. What can I do? What can I say? Grixis is such a good deck. It's just usually everyone's fighting over it. I don't understand how they got such a perfect deck. Okay. That's alright. Like I said, I gave our deck a pretty low rank for a reason. People like to play competitive on here, so you're going to get more competitive decks like Grixis. Hopefully, we don't run up against another Grixis player. And if we do, hopefully it's one of the run-of-the-mill ones, not the perfect 2-drop, 3-drop Yawgmoth. That was insane, honestly. I don't think you're going to experience that often of that kind of a deck build in the Chromatic Cube. I mean, I've had some pretty awesome decks in Chromatic Cube. Um, Black Red is typically one of the better color archetypes, I think, in the format, but mainly because of all the discard. Discard is really powerful. Counterspells are really powerful in this format. Even at the 3 mana, they're just insane because the format is really slow. So um, Grixis is kind of the fun police, as you just saw in this Chromatic Cube. So if anything, this is a lesson. Hopefully, the Wizards Cube team looks at the end resolve of what they put together and went, "Oh, I see our problem. We didn't put enough 2-drop mana rocks in the format. They really didn't. I think they tried to throw everything in there, but I really don't. I didn't really see that many um, mana rocks that they could have taken. And you really don't want to be first picking mana rocks um, in a fun format. Not typically. I don't know. When you have to do that, I kind of feel like it takes away from the format itself. When you try to build a fun deck, it's kind of hard to do. And Chromatic Cube is uh, supposed to be fun. Magic is fun, even when you get to do what they're doing, when the fun police is going around. Because Magic, the most fun you can have is when you're being in a back and forth game where you and your opponent in a thoughtful game. In that game, there was not any thought in that game. There was me playing lands while my opponent murdered me by ripping my hand apart. All right, we'll get to try this hand. Hopefully, it's good enough. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't be. We'll see. It's a pretty fun hand. I kind of like what we're doing here. We'll scry. I'll keep the Celestial Dawn on top. Mainly because it is good with the Piper. Alright, we're playing against another black deck. I'm going to play my white mana here and just pass. Okay, they're playing black and white. So we have a chance, I think, here. I'm going to cast the Beanstalk Giant. I think. Maybe not. Actually, Plating Mirror is pretty good here. Granted, if they have a removal spell, they get to kill it, but that's fine. I'd rather them use their removal spells on my Mana Dork than my Halpak Piper next turn. And if they don't have that, we could play Beanstalk into Halpak Piper. Just kind of neat. It's kind of a free attack here by my opponent. Alright. We have a couple plays we can make here. I think the first one is tapping our mirror and playing the adventure side of Beanstalk Giant, which is Fertile Footsteps, which we'll go get our red source here. It'll come into play untapped. We get to play a land. This could be a green or a white source, but I'm going to select it to be a white source because this is triple white. We could play Faeral Elder. We can play the Piper. I'm going to play the Piper. Now, this is probably going to ban out a removal, but they might have low removal. And really all this is going to do is allow me to play multiple spells next turn. Or put multiple creatures into play. And they really don't need to worry about that. That's an interesting attack, not attacking with the Midnight Reaper. Like, if you don't have a ton of removal, and you have a ninja, they could have just done that, the Reaper here. Wow. Cool. I'm glad that cost them 6 life, but... yeah. Not quite what we were hoping for, but now we can Cavalier Dawn. We don't have a ton of green. But we can activate the Piper, putting into play our Cavalier of Dawn, killing the Tolvar so it doesn't flip. Definitely don't want that in play. And I'd rather them have a token instead, so we'll do that instead. So we'll tap and put a Cavalier of Dawn into play. Killing Tolvar. Hit to lose a life and draw a card. Um, we can get we can put Karuga in our hand. And I think that's probably right. And we will pass. Since we didn't cast any spells, we get to flip our Howler. And this might put a creature in our hand. It does. I guess we'll put the Raised Boar in our hand. It's a big threat. Now, granted, I don't imagine this is going to flip next turn. They'd have to play a lot of spells. Okay, they're just going to take out our Cavalier of Dawn. Force us to trade with our Palladium Mirror towards their Scion, which I am happy to do, because I don't want them casting any more free spells. They put a bunch of pressure on us, and unless we draw... I don't know what we could draw at this point. I mean, we can get our 5 life into play. Okay, this is actually pretty good. This will put Lifelinkers into play. If they don't have any... Even with removal, I think that'll help us survive. And then we keep our Howler in play on defense. It's actually pretty good. Discordant would have been nice. I wouldn't have had to play my... if I would have had that over the Celestial, the Cavalier of Dawn, I would have just played that and then got it back anyways with... Okay, so they're going to take something from our hand. Probably the Raised Boar. Raised Boar's a big problem. Like, yeah, our life matters, but they're not getting through this turn. And we have lifelink tokens. That doesn't mean they don't have Massacre Worm. Massacre Worm would be pretty brutal. And I think they yeah, okay. So we're going to be able to play 2 cards next turn. Because we'll get to flip this and we play the Faber Elder. Most likely we'll play the Elder and then we'll just put... Okay, that attack is incorrect. Okay, we'll block here. Block the 3/3. Eat that guy and kill that. And we'll take 4 and gain 4. We'll lose a token, but they lose their other token here, their other attacker. We'll get to attack for 2. Their life total is pretty low now, but... actually, if we draw an untapped land, we can just win here. They're going to gain a life, but then we can... if we draw an untapped source... Of course. It's a pay 2 life one. Which is fine. So we can cast the Fable Elder and then put our War Chef into play. I think that's what we want to do here. Because that'll gain us the most life. Normally, I would have done something slightly different than that. But gaining life is important here. Interstap, but then we get to attack. Which will gain us 2 more life. And now our opponent's on the back foot. It's possible, unless they have a Wrath of God, that we can just... Well, that we're presenting such a lethal board that's... They might not be able to come back in this game. Angel of Sanctions is not going to do it. Sure. You see, that's an interesting attack. We could take it here. Putting us down to 4. But why would we do that? Because we get a 4/4 out of this regardless. I think they're just trying to make it to where we don't draw as many cards. Off our spell. Oh, this is just perfect. Yeah. We just cast this, exile their guy. That'll bring back our dude. They get a random card, and now we can swing for lethal. And that's game. Unless they have a fog, which I don't think fog is in the format. I guess in their case it would be darkness. But that's definitely not on Arena. Okay. All right. We got a game. So 1 and 2. Sometimes in Chromatic Cube, this is kind of how you start too. You just play against two really powerful decks, and then you get to play against a bunch of run-of-the-mill decks like our own deck, and kind of get a little bit more of the fun game. Yeah, you are playing a little bit. You're playing on the knife. Any wrong move and you lose, but that was really fun. Our woof, the roller coaster of emotions, and I went through that game. Oof. Kind of Magic in a nutshell. Um, which makes Magic like one of those things where if you get you play Magic too much and too often, um, you become immune to the roller coaster, and because you don't want your emotions to uh, play too much of a role in your decision your match decisions, and so you just kind of like stone face and learn to absorb a lot of like the bad beats and stuff and not get too emotional about it, because then you start to it'll open the doors to learn how to play the game even better, but when you do that it kind of takes away from your the fun sides of Magic, which is just doing crazy things and just enjoying the game for what it is. Our deck is definitely one. There's quite a few cards that we could have definitely used, which we did not see. All right, we get to be on the play again. That's pretty nice. Problem with this hand is the playability's not here. If we don't draw a white source, our first play is probably going to be Archduke, which isn't terrible. And I mean, our first play is probably even just going to be paying 3 and putting Kruga into our hand. Now, granted, we do have 2 removal spells in our hand, which is kind of nice, and the Angel is kind of decent. For the sake of content, I'm going to keep and hopefully we get there. I'm going to keep this hand. It's not the worst hand, but our deck isn't exactly going to be looking for 2 drops, so I imagine mulliganing with this deck is way worse, even with it the odds being different. Now, granted, we did draw a way to fix our mana, which is cool. Oh no, Brain Maggot. They're probably going to take our removal spell here. They should probably take either Fate Fetters or Intervention, or possibly even our Planeswalker, because it is a very powerful card. They could take our Ramp Source, which I would feel is probably the right call, because I am desperate. But if I top deck a white source, then their play was nothing, and I would have actually right there. So I'm still going to go with the ramp play, and basically I'm going to destroy my land, my mountain that I play, go get a white source, and probably a green source. Yeah, that's the correct play. Even though I could play this as a white source and play Overseer, you want to take the action. We're going to get a Plains. Already have the Force in play, so that's fine. We replace the red source with another red source. And that'll ramp us a little bit and allow us to play. We'll get to play Archduke next turn. Not really worried about their Lotus Cobra, especially since I can spit out 1/1s that can kill those guys. Ooh, that's a good one to draw. Because now we have a tap line we can play as opposed to the untapped one. Alright, we make a little devil. We play our card. We're going to name white here. We could name blue, actually. If we name blue, if we draw the prismatic, yeah. Actually, since we do have a flexible spot here with green or white, I actually think it's probably right to just name blue. That way, if we did draw our chromatic card, we'll be able to just play it off the top. Attacking's probably not good here for them. Block their Cobra, kill their Maggot. If they attack with their Maggot, block the Maggot, kill the Cobra. Yeah, they don't really have a good attacks here, I don't think. Now, if they're planning on... Yeah, their attacks are not good. Okay. We have a couple plays here. We could Rampage again, but I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to save that for something else against our opponent. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make another token. Really make it hard for our opponents to attack. We're going to play a flyer, draw a card. Probably just play our land here and put Karuga into our hand. Since we just drew 2 white sources, I'm just going to play a green source here and put Karuga in our hand. We could attack, but I think it's better just to hold back. And I feel like from here, depending on what our opponent has in their deck, outside of like Massacre Worm, and even then Massacre Worm wouldn't be like great here. Yeah, granted we would lose a bunch of life, but we get to kill both of their cards. They are missing a 3rd black source in order for Massacre Worm to be good. But that's the card I really don't want to see from our opponent. Cool. That's a big creature. This is actually really powerful here. We could play this and then give haste to all of our creatures. And I think that's the right play. I'm not going to play our Temple here. Because, I mean, I probably could. Yeah. Actually, I should play it before I play that guy. Great. That's a great card to have on top. Yeah, that makes this play a little bit better. It's good to find your information before you make a play. We give haste, and then we attack here. Since I know what's on top of our deck. Yeah, they got a land. So we'll play another giant creature, allowing us to go wide. Granted, we do trade for their Mana Dork, which I think is the right play. But I still feel like that was the right play there, because they need a swamp if they want to play Massacre Worm to blow us out. Okay, that is technically a swamp, but it enters tapped. So we get to play Karuga next turn. And if we draw an untap land, we can play both Faith Betters and Karuga. Oh no! Oh, our opponent. I'm sorry, opponent. That was so awful. Okay. I see what we can do here. We can play our Palladium Mirror and give it haste. And that'll allow us to play our Karuga, which is going to be interesting here. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll play Karuga. And this will draw us 5 cards? 4 cards. Perfect. Okay. And then we're actually at a point now in the game where we're way far ahead. We will be attacking with all of our creatures. Yeah, I feel like we're at a point now in the game where we're so far ahead that it'd be really hard for us to lose at this point. Even with a Massacre Worm, which I think they might have. The reason why, yeah, there it is. Now, I don't need... I'm probably going to save the flyer. Or they're just dead, aren't they? Are we dead? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 damage. But I can block their Reaper. We're going to shoot down their Cobra. And this bolt. Now, granted, I can save the Overseer. Yeah, they're not in a great spot. I'm going to save the Overseer, because this is going to be 2 damage in the air that won't die to the Massacre Worm here. So we're only taking 10 damage, which is a lot. As you can see, like the token strategies here, Massacre Worm is pretty brutal. We're waiting our opponent to organize their triggers. Yes, we're going to shoot down their Cobra. Because it's still going to be equal to 1 damage. from their Reaper. Granted, they will draw a card, but now we have 2 damage in the air that they can't prevent. And since they can't kill our Planeswalker, we get multiple combat. So yeah, we win. Massacre. It was one of those games where it was like blocking with their Death Toucher. I feel like kind of cost them their game, but they would have taken a lot of damage, and keeping our big giant creature in play was probably not worth it. Because then if we got to attack with it again, which looked like it probably would be the case, and they would end up trading with their Massacre Worm, we'd be able to get 2 more cards, possibly a removal spell off the top of their deck. So, yeah, they were kind of in a tough spot. All right. See if we can get rattle off 3 more wins. I guess that's what I want. Yeah, I learned early when this set, when the first part of this cube came out, I drafted tokens, and I did pretty well with it, but it was insanely close. A lot of the games where they would be. I like tokens a lot in this format because there's so many of them, and you can do so many cool things. The problem is, Elsinore is a card, Massacre is a card, and you're going to play those. You're going to play against those cards. Those are not cards that you cut because they're so good against the token decks. But there's also just a lot of situations where you can. With Elsinore, you just play it, but Massacre Worm, there's a lot of ways you can just kind of tilt the deck in a way that it works out for you. I'm going to keep this hand, even though we're on the draw. We have Faith Fetters, and even if that is our first real play, that's actually quite good for us. And we do have a pretty decent curve at that point. I do want to draw more land. I don't want to draw another fat creature, so I'm going to look at the top card. If it's a big creature, I really don't want this. I don't want the Cavalier of Dawn. I'm looking for lands at this point. Lands and turn 3 spells would be nice. They're probably going to take our Faith Fetters here. Yes, our opponent looks like is playing the same deck that our opponent played last time, but this is a different player. Cool. Here's our first green source. We need another one in order to play Eska, and if we could, that'd be really cool. They're probably going to take our Eska here. They could take Elsinore, but no, they're going to take Eska, which is fine. Ooh. Okay. I was going to play our land tapped, our mountain, and then put this in our hand. But Zerael is really strong, and I don't know if I'm going to draw a land next turn. And being able to get this untapped against their creatures, just putting a 1/1 Devil into play is going to be pretty nuts. Because at that point, that'll be a good card. And they just put another 1 toughness creature. Yeah, Zerael's going to be really nice on this board. The Polymorph guy is pretty good here, but we're just going to lead off with our Planeswalker. Granted, yes, they could all outswing, but that means they're pretty much losing the majority of their board if they do that into our Planeswalker. Ooh, Adversary. Wow. That's so good. I could double block the Brain Maggot here if they do commit to this attack. And I'm debating whether that's the play or not. Granted, I can polymorph their Adversary next turn. And we're going to go to 11 if we just take it. And I think that's the right call. Because we're going to get rid of their Adversary. Because we have to. Oh, man. Mana Ramp would be nice here. But we're definitely going to get rid of the Adversary at this point. Just getting this out of the game. Granted, they get another card because we did that, but it takes away their ability to attack with their 1/1s here. And then it just leaves us with this Spellbinder. Yawgmoth is good, but not great here. Cool. We drew another land. I'm going to put this in on white. Yeah, on white. Since we're not dead in the air, I kind of want to play this just to have another mana rock. Because if we could drop Elsinore, that'll be insane. So yeah, we're going to play Eska here. and it really makes it difficult for our opponents to attack. So we'll just pass here. I think they should have put that on here, but they might have just a straight removal for this. Because they definitely don't want us bringing back. Oh, wow. Wow. That's really strong. Okay. This is a tough spot for us. Okay, we drew a land. We can gain a life here. Maybe that'll be enough for us. And then, because if we get Elshorn to play, I think we're in a really good spot. Yeah, we'll play the Workchef here. Workshop Warchief. I'm debating whether I want to attack with my 1/1. I don't think I will. And we're going to put this in on green. Yeah, on green. And we'll say go. Yeah, it looks like they have the Massacre. Oh. Okay. Actually, I think they would have won if they just gave them all haste. I'll take 3 here. If we draw a land, untap land, we did not. We did not. Dang it. I really don't want to give my opponent time to think at this point. Just play our land and we'll say go. I'm going to mute my opponent because for some reason people like to just say GG's. Alright, it looks like they have lethal. They know they have lethal. They can just sacrifice their tokens at this point and kill us at any moment. It's unfortunate that our opponents had such good draws against us. Such insane draws, actually. Yeah. We'll just let our opponents get us. We'll give them the GGs and just move on with our day. All right. This was our first demonstration of our drafting prowess, which is not great example of it. But I do stream on Twitch quite often. This is where I'm going to draw the line and say we did as well as I thought we would. About 1,000 gold. Our deck had a lot of problems. Like I said, try to get as many 2-drops as you can in this format. Like almost just if you see a 2-drop, that's the color you're in. Which is kind of sad because you really do want to just play a really fun deck. And our deck was definitely that, a fun deck. In the games that we got to play, we got to do a lot of crazy things, very powerful things. But overall, I think what you really want to look for is a deck that does a lot on turn 2 in this format. Or at least has good options to it. So you want to draft about 6 2-drops. Mixed in with maybe 1-drops. So if you get 6 1-drops and some combination of 6 early plays, a mix of 1 and 2-drops, preferably, hopefully, those being mana dorks or mana rocks. Outside of that, everything else is just kind of gravy, and you can kind of play whatever you want at that point. So in Chromatic Spear, that's what you're going to be wanting to do in the future. For us, we got unlucky. We didn't really get to see much in the way of those cards, except for like I think we had like a Gilded Goose at one point, really early, but it was way too early to take that. But maybe we should have. Maybe we should have taken that over the card we took. And then you saw that 2-mana rock that we had in there, but that would have been legitimately our only 2-mana rock. But that could have been a huge difference in our game. But, yeah. I did have fun. Actually, this deck was fun enough. I don't know how much just fun is enough for you. But, yeah. If you come follow me on my Twitch channel at Lucas Dre, it's down underneath our the YouTube screen down there. It should be down there next to our email me. Let me know how you feel. This is my first real video that I'm releasing to the public. I really, really would love to know how I'm doing, what you would like to see in the future. If you need me to be more expressive, if you need me to be uh, more give a lot more explanation. If the video is too long, I would really love to hear all of those comments. Anything that you can think of. But you can come visit me on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday. I'll be on periodically throughout the day. I like to split it up here and there. I'm going to be trying to release a YouTube video Monday through Friday uh, on the daily. So hopefully we can get those out to everybody. And for those who get to see this on the 4th, happy 4th of July. I doubt that's when the video will be up, but hopefully we'll be up by that point. Yeah, this is my first venture into YouTube. And hopefully we can continue to do more of this stuff and really just have some fun with the game. I actually do quite well in draft overall, but I'll see you later, and thanks for watching.